Brudiclad Telchor Engineer versus Anafenza Spirit. Yeah, plenty of mana there, so we'll keep that. I wanted to run Brudiclad again because there's a few War of the Spark additions to this deck. There's the new Saheeli Planeswalker that's really good. There's the new Sarkhan Planeswalker as well that throws out, I think they're 5/5 dragon tokens. And apparently we're not going to struggle for mana this game. Let's go in for our... Yeah, we can get down a tap land first because we don't need to get down the Retro Fitter Foundry straight away. Brudiclad Telchor Engineer is a 6 mana Izzet commander, a 4/4 that gives our tokens haste. At the beginning of combat on our turn we get a 2/1 Mirror token, and then we can turn all of our tokens into a copy of a token that we control. Our opponent's commander comes down, so let's get our Steam Vents. And Anafenza Spirit is a 2/2 Spirit Soldier for 2 mana. Whenever another non-token creature enters under your control, you bolster 1. That is, it gets a +1/+1 counter. Alright, if we just keep drawing into lands, there's not a whole lot we're going to be doing this game. We'll just get down the Retro Fitter Foundry, and even if we do keep just drawing into lands, at least we can get a token army on the go with this. And a Black Blade Reforged, so I wonder if this is some kind of Voltron deck. Not typical in Anafenza, you usually want to use this for white weenies and go wide. Yeah, another land for us. I think we just hold on to the Reality Shift here, and if our opponent wants to do something other than equip up the Anafenza, then we might just go for a chump block with a servo anyway. Okay, that's fine. It looks like we're just going in for a servo token, and I don't know if I will block actually. The Anafenza gets a plus counter because our opponent had a creature enter, so they get to bolster and put a plus counter on something with the least toughness. Yeah, I think we're just going to put mana into the Retro Fitter Foundry. The sooner we get tokens going, the better in this deck, because if we can turn all of our tokens with Brudiclad into something really frightening, then that would be great for us. A Hanweir Garrison is good as well. But that does mean that we can't hold up the Reality Shift, but we can chump block with a servo. This doesn't give trample, does it? No, it's just a +1 buff per land our opponent controls. So let's go in for the Spire of Industry, and we'll go for the Hanweir Garrison. And every time we attack with that, we get a couple of 1/1 red humans. Might have to chump block with the servo, like I said, but at least we can replenish the tokens with our Hanweir Garrison. A Gallant Cavalry comes in. That is a 2/2 with Vigilance, and it enters with a 2/2 Knight token. The token entering doesn't trigger the Anafenza, and she puts a counter onto the archetype of Courage. This gives creatures our opponent's control first strike. Now they can double block. I wasn't expecting them to get 2 creatures in this turn. They can double block and they have first strike, so that's a problem. But we could go for the Reality Shift onto this thing when they block. Yeah, I don't really know what we're doing here. Alright, God Pharaoh's Gift isn't particularly great. We'll just go for a dual land here in Volcanic Island. And does our opponent have any removal up is the question. What we could do is swing in with the Hanweir Garrison, and then when they double block, kill one of them with Reality Shift, but that still leaves them with a creature, and we lose our Reality Shift, which I'd like to put onto one of these two. So we're in a tricky situation here. We might actually have to create a servo to chump with soon. But we've at least got an Inferno Titan next turn, so we can start popping our opponent's creatures off with that. And if that's the plan, it might be worth killing off our opponent's Anafenza when they cast a creature. Yeah, it's not upon casting creatures, it's upon entry, so that might be a good idea. Oh, and that's even better, the fact that we're getting a little 2-for-1 here. They paid 3 to equip the Black Blade, and that will fizzle because our opponent's Anafenza goes back into the command zone there. They do manifest a creature, which is a 2-2 first striker, but at least they have to spend time recasting their Anafenza next turn now. And then these things are still 2-2s, so we can block at least one of those with the garrison, which probably means they're not swinging in. They may swing in with the archetype still. Oh, they're coming in with a knight as well. That's curious. I wonder if they have punishment for us blocking them. Well, we'll try it anyway. It at least gets it out of their hand. Okay, and it turns out they didn't have anything for that. Let's go through to the end step and get ourselves another servo. Okay, an Arcane Denial. I think it's better to just go for the Inferno Titan. We're starting to get ahead of our opponent now. The Anafenza deck really wants to rush the opponent, but if we can slow them right down, which it appears as though we are going to, then that's really good for us. Getting rid of that thing that gives everything first strike is very good as well. Then I think we're just going to swing in with this and get rid of one of their creatures. That will get us a couple of tokens into play, and then if we go for Brudiclad next turn, then we can make those things into something even bigger, hopefully. In fact, what it might be worth doing is going for the God Pharaoh's Gift next turn and exiling the Hanwir Garrison from our graveyard to get a 4-4 zombie. And then that will make all of our tokens 4-4 zombies, but they don't block with the Hanwir Garrison. That's curious. Yeah, God Pharaoh's Gift is a 7-mana artifact. At the beginning of combat on our turn, we can exile a creature from our graveyard and create a token. That's a copy of that card, except it's a 4-4 black zombie with haste. So one of these, as a 4-4 zombie, is really good. It will generate even more tokens. Then we would have got down the Brudiclad after that. And we would have had an army of 4-4 Hanwir garrisons, and we would have been throwing out tokens all over the place. But clearly our opponent doesn't like the sound of that, so we'll just have to get on with another game. Brudiclad, Telchor Engineer versus Erebos, God of the Dead. Yeah, they should struggle against us in an artifact deck. Let's keep that. We have plenty of mana, a Skull Clamp. The Sphinx is good. This is Mana Rock pretty much. Yeah, I'm quite liking that hand. A Phyrexian Reclamation on our opponent's first turn. That's 2 mana and 2 life to return a creature card from graveyard to hand. And we get into an island, so let's play that. And I don't mind getting out the Skull Clamp because we're against black and it's not likely that they're going to do a whole lot about a Skull Clamp or any other artifact. Usually don't like to roll out a Skull Clamp unless we can equip it straight away. And they just dropped their second land and passed the turn. There's actually nothing for us to do on our second turn, so we might as well get down a tapped Steam Vents and F6 through our opponent's turn again. Erebos, God of the Dead, is a 4-mana indestructible 5/7. You need Devotion to Black of 5 or greater in order for it to become a creature. It has your opponent's unable to gain life, and then for 2 mana and 2 life, you can draw a card. Grim Tutor coming down, and that will go into the hand. Brudiclad Telchor Engineer is a 6-mana Izzet commander, a 4-4, gives our tokens haste. We get a 2-1 Mere Artifact token at the beginning of combat, and then we can turn all of our tokens into a copy of a token of our choice. Merchant Scroll isn't bad. Let's go for the Foundry Inspector. And that will make our artifacts cost 1 less, and that does include our commander. A 3-mana Solemn Simulacrum is in store for us next turn though, I think. because that probably means we can go in for Consecrated Sphinx the turn after. A Volrath's Stronghold and an Ancient Tomb in play now, by the way. This puts a creature from the graveyard on top of the library. And they snuck down a Batterskull there. That is a really tricky one. Do we have Vandal Blast in this deck? Okay, for some reason we don't have a Vandal Blast in the deck. I was just thinking about Merchant Scroll into Vandal Blast to get rid of the Batterskull while we still can. This thing will bounce back to our opponent's hand for 3 mana. I think in that case, we just encourage our opponent to swing in to a Solemn Simulacrum. We'll stick to the plan that we had last turn. Get a mountain with that. And then we'll draw 3 cards off of the Solemn if they want to swing into that. It's fine with me. And we are currently online for a Consecrated Sphinx. They can probably kill the Consecrated Sphinx quite easily because this isn't an artifact. And killing creatures is exactly what Black is really good at. Bajuka Bog we could not care less about. And a Magus of the Coffers is a Cabal Coffers with legs. They don't actually have that many swamps in play unless they drop an Urborg next turn, so we're not too worried about that either. Now the question is, do they want to swing in? It looks like they're going for it. So we're going to net ourselves 3 cards here. Alright, and Imprisoned in the Moon is potentially good. How many lands do we need for this to start going off? We need 6. That's actually going to be relevant. And that might get a destruction spell out of our opponent's hand as well. So let's just do some setting up this turn. I think it's Trinket Mage into a Sol Ring. And then Sol Ring can come into play, of course. Then it is a Dragon Master Outcast. That will throw out a 5/5 Dragon token next turn, because we control 6 or more lands. And then we'll put the Skull Clamp onto the Trinket Mage. Again, they can swing into that if they want to. That'll just give us a couple of cards again. And then we'll go for Goblin Instigator. And we're starting to get tokens going now. We'll get a Dragon token next turn. We'll be able to turn this Goblin into a Dragon, as well as the Mirror. So that's 15 damage in the air next turn. In worst case scenario, they kill the Dragon Master Outcast, but then it looks like we are fairly free to go for Consecrated Sphinx if we need to. If we draw into a land next turn, we might be able to go for Beetleback Chief and Brudiclad. Now, Cavern of Souls has come down. We do have a couple of counter spells in the deck. They must have named God with that. Yes, they did. We're not going to counter the Erebos with no counters in hand. And then a Mana Vault as well, we don't care about. They've only got 1 card left in hand, so they might just dump mana into their Erebos, which is exactly what they're doing. So they're back up to 3 cards, and they're gaining plenty of life with the Batterskull, so they'll regain the life that they just put into their Erebos. We could gang up on the Germ token here, but there's not really much point in that. I'm just happy to block with the Trinket Mage. In fact, we could have blocked with the Goblin Instigator and the Trinket Mage to get rid of that, and that would have forced them to either re-equip it or bounce and replay it. So yeah, they did the right thing not swinging in there. And here we go. Never actually activated a Dragon Master Outcast before, so this is really good to see. We'll get down the Wasteland. I want to tap it for mana straight away to show our opponent that we're not using it for nefarious purposes. Beetleback Chief comes in, and it enters with a couple of Goblin tokens. And then it's Brudiclad time for only 5 mana because of the Foundry Inspector. This will give our tokens haste. We'll get a Mirror token. Then we choose the dragon, turn everything into a fleet of dragons, and somehow click through the attack phase. How annoying. Yeah, that's frustrating. Apologies for that. I think we might have had the win there. If you ever read any forums or watch anyone play Modo on YouTube, you might hear of them complaining about lag. And because of the lag, you'll input a command and then it will not respond immediately, and then you assume that it didn't register, so you press it again, and then all of a sudden everything catches up and it passes priority twice, in this case through our beginning of combat phase and then our attack phase. So I did press pass priority there because I didn't think it registered the first time, so apologies for that. Yeah, we had our opponent there, I think. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. We certainly did. So that is really annoying. But I've only myself to blame. These things happen sometimes. You think you've only clicked the button once and it clicks twice. It's a bit of a funny interaction on the client on Magic Online. Our opponent plays a wasteland of their own, and they're paying life. Does that mean there's a toxic deluge on the horizon? That'll serve us right if there is. No, they're just drawing a card. They're up to 6 cards in hand now, and they are out of toxic deluge range. Unless they have... No, they can't play a swamp and then get 3 mana from the Magus. They are just going to blow up our wasteland. We don't care about that. And there we go. Our opponent scoops there. Yeah, apologies for that. I would like to have seen my opponent's life total go down to 0. We definitely had the win there. That was just a mistake on my part. Sometimes you press the pass priority button and then the client doesn't respond immediately. So you think that you didn't press it straight away, but then it responds just as you're starting to press it again, and it's just a whole ordeal. You have to be really patient with Magic Online and let it catch up to you. Anyway, hopefully you all enjoyed that. We got to see a fleet of dragons in the air, and that was really good. Just a shame that we didn't knock our opponent's life total down to 0 with it, but I'm sure you can use your imagination. We had that game won well and truly. That was Brudiclad, Telchor Engineer versus Erebos, God of the Dead. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.